Hello again, everyone. It's March 20th, 2023, early morning. We're looking at the New York, Susquehanna and Western's engine house in Utica, New York. Outside of the house is a CSX Leaser 2514, and in the engine house is New York, Susquehanna and Western number 3040. It's been a busy morning here already in the yard. The maintenance away guys have cleared off a few switches for the crew. We'll try to get them heading down Schuyler Street a little later on in the morning, probably within the next hour or so. It is 21 degrees Fahrenheit, 6 below Celsius. And along for the ride this morning is Vitold. Looks like there are a good amount of cars in the yard this morning, so I suspect that the two engines will team up again and probably head down to Sangerfield, although they'll most likely do some switching locally first in the Utica area. Sangerfield is 23 miles south of here and the site of three big customers for the Susquehanna. About a mile or so north of Sangerfield is another customer of the railroad, Louis J. Gale and Son, a family feed mill which has been around for a long time, customer of the railroad going back to the NYO&W days. And a crew member just went on to 2514 and fired her up. And spring is in the air, very frigid air. Here's a look at the N Street switch for Vexmat Brewery. Although it was put in the late 1980s, it was based on a 1930s design. This track was replaced all up and down Schuyler Street as part of a New York State DOT sponsored program. And the siding for the brewery, see how it leaves the main right here. It's a very tight curve. It leads right into the brewery. We're waiting right now to see what the morning train is going to be like today, whether it'll be two engines or just the CSX engine. So it's unlikely that this train will be heading all the way down to Sangerfield today, as Sangerfield does not receive boxcars, at least no loads of boxcars. They sometimes take empties to Sangerfield, but these cars will most likely all be switched out at a NYO&W warehouse in New Hartford, about 3 miles from here. There are a few customers in New York Mills that receive boxcars from time to time. McCrate Beverage receives beer, and SCI Plywood, as the name indicates, receives shipments of plywood from time to time. The engine is just about at the end of Schuyler Street trackage. Blowing the horn now for NYS Street. The business over here, Crath & Bannigan, at one point received rail shipments. There was a siding in there. That's not something that I remember. It was probably taken out in the 50s or the 60s. So we're now on what's known as the Utica Arterial, New York State Routes 5, 8, and 12. Coming right on the train. I'm now along French Road in Utica, about 1.5 miles or so beyond the last segment. These tracks were once part of the West Shore Railroad. That sign indicates 233 miles to New York, but actually it's to Weehawken, New Jersey, which was on the west side of the Hudson. The West Shore was dismantled at different times. The part through the Utica area in Herkimer County and to Vernon was torn up in the early 1970s, but the Susquehanna remains or operates over remnants of the West Shore, which were purchased by a predecessor railroad in order to serve customers in New York Mills and also New Hartford. So we'll catch them coming past this point. I think you can see that they're off the Utica main of the Susquehanna and now on the old West Shore. This is a crossing controlled by traffic lights. So the engineer will stop his train until the identical traffic signal, or actually railroad signal, on the other side will turn yellow, I believe. Meaning, of course, proceed with caution. And Vitold is taking a keen interest in rail fanning this morning from inside the car. A short distance from here, the train will leave the West Shore tracks and head on to former Utica Division, New York, Ontario, and Western tracks to the business in New Hartford, Oneida warehouse that used to be Mohawk Containers. Will receive most, if not all, of these boxcars. Along Campion Road in New Hartford, they're making a backup move to the customer. This is former New York, Ontario, and Western Rail. It's actually a spur off what once was the Utica Division of the NYO&W. heading into an Ida warehouse. Sorry about the poor sun angle. And they'll be pulling out a couple of empties. Pulled forward just enough to begin the reverse move with the loads. Three short horn blasts mean they're heading in reverse. Crossing is the entrance to the new Hartford Shopping Center. put a couple of those loads inside the shed, and then they'll spot the others, or looks like they've already spotted the others on the line down beyond the switch. This customer receives a lot of cars. There are some days when the railroad actually does 2 switch moves here. The customer was once located in Little Falls, New York, along the CSX main. CSX grew tired of switching off their main. The business relocated here. It had actually been, the building had been vacant for a few years. It was once Jefferson Smurfit, before that Mohawk Containers. And the railroad, of course, was happy to get the business. So the ground crew will get back on board the engine, and they'll head on down the line, probably returning to the yard right away. So after leaving New Hartford, the crew went over to nearby New York Mills and picked up a car there. I'm back at French Road. Well, as you can see, the crew left that bulkhead flat on the New York Mills spur. Then they headed back to New Hartford to pick up a couple of boxcars. I think they didn't bring the boxcars with them beforehand to avoid a couple mile shove with the boxcars coming back from New York Mills. So we'll see how many boxcars they bring back and take it from there. While we're waiting for the train, Vitol's enjoying himself, laying down in the snow. He was making a snow angel a little while ago. Well, it's early afternoon now. Temperature is 38 degrees Fahrenheit, 3 degrees Celsius. They're making their way back from New Hartford. Right now they've gone ahead and hooked onto the bulkhead flat that had been waiting for them to return. And they'll begin the shove back towards me momentarily. So here they come on the Old West Shore. Looks like the warehouse people have been busy unloading all those boxcars. looks like they unloaded at least two. I think they pulled two empties out. They're stopped at the runaround now. The object here is going to be to place all the cars behind the engine so that when they head down Schuyler Street, it won't be a shove move. The engine will be in front all the way down. And the flag's on the last boxcar. That'll mean it's the end of the train as it goes down Schuyler Street. Conductor's relining the switch. So we'll next catch them heading down Schuyler Street, back to the Utica yard. So from Utica, New York, on Schuyler Street. This is Railroading Rambler and Vitold, who's been patiently waiting for his breakfast. Out! As always, let us know where you're watching from, please.